Hi, this is to follow up on information about reading discussion board posts and how to keep up on updates. The first thing I want to show you is the notification dashboard. That's a new feature as of the beginning of the summer. Up in the top right, you will see your name, and if you click on that name, click on the little alarm clock, and that'll show you some items that are new since you've last been to the course. If it is a discussion forum, you can hit the little open button and it will open that discussion board thread. I'd also like to show you the item that helps me keep track of things. It's a circle that shows up in the discussion boards that shows unread posts, a little turquoise type of circle with a number in it. And if I go down to the current module, I'll see that there is one unread post. If I click on that, it will bring me to the post. But even after reading that, if I go back to the discussion forum view, that still reads as a number 1. You would think that it would mark it as read, but you have to do that manually if you read your forum in this fashion. So to do that, you would click on the number 1, read the forum. You can then select all the threads, and then this little icon here shows you how you can mark them as read. You can also read discussion forum entries to see which ones are new by clicking right into the discussion board. And then the default view is this list view. It's a little bit newer, but I'm not 100% sure I'm crazy about it. It is nice if I wanted to sort by author or sort by date, or a feature that I like is to select all of the posts and then hit this collection option. This gives me every single post on one screen. Sometimes I'll even print this out, and when I'm in a face-to-face class, I'll highlight some comments and bring that back to the first part of class next time we meet and say, oh, well, Jeremiah said blah, 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 blah. So that's one way you can do that. The other way I like to view unread discussion board posts is through this tree view. This tree view was actually taken out by Blackboard at one time, and there were calls to put it back in. So they do listen, and they did put it back in. This tree view will allow me, again, I can select all by clicking the top button, and then I can expand all my threads to see every thread in this forum, or collapse them. So when I hit expand all, it shows me the new discussion board posts are in bold. Not the start of a thread, but new threads to a post are shown in bold. I think Jeremiah's is the one that I have not read yet. And if I click on that and read it in this way, when I go back to the discussion board main view, you'll notice that that actually marks Jeremiah's entry as being read. There's been some questions about grading forums, and you can do that. I often like to set a forum to complete, incomplete status, and then in the grade center, if you mark, it would show me a kind of a needs grading icon. Let me see if I can show you that. So, for example, if this item was a posting for a discussion forum, it shows that it needs grading. That's what that exclamation point is. I can then just click in there. If it's a complete, incomplete, I can just hit a number 1, or any number, actually. I like using 1 because then I can tally it later by downloading it and bringing it back into Excel. Or I don't want to mark that one as complete, but for example, if this is the quiz, let me see if I can get a discussion board post up here. So with this one, I would mark it as 1, and it would then change that needs grading to a little check mark because I have this column set as complete incomplete for its grade. What I often have done in the past, and it might be an old-fashioned way of doing it just because that's what I'm used to, is to have 2 windows open and give everybody a check mark all the way down the road by hitting a number 1, and then my arrow key will bring me down to the next item. So 1, the arrow key on my keyboard brings me down to the next one, and I'll go through the entire column, give everybody a check. Then I'll go back, and if there were 1 or 2 students that missed the post for that week, or they were late, or they were just kind of the I agree type post, I'd then go back in and null their grade by hitting delete and enter. You'll then get a message that says no. I'll say yes, and it gives me back the nothing, the double dashes. I'll give the grades back there. And also keep in mind that the performance dashboard is kind of new. That's in your evaluation section in your control panel. And that shows you that Anne has 3 discussion forum posts. Now I'll show you just a little bit about the rubric options that I've been using pretty much for the first time in this course. So if you go to your discussion board area, you will then see the double down arrow next to each forum, and I'm going to click the grade option. That brings me to this screen where I can choose a student that I wish to grade. So let's see, we will go into Emily's post and hit the grade button. I can just edit her grade using this button, or I can view the rubric. Actually, I can edit her grade on the rubric. And if I click this link to see the rubric, I can go through and I can say, oh, she's been exceptional in all of these criteria. She's met them very well. If I would like to give her some feedback on each of those items, I can do that. If I want to see the description of what the criteria is actually saying, I can show or not show that. So if I want to tell her she did a nice job, I can do that. And I can also scroll down and I can override the number of points, so it'll automatically total the points that she has. So she's got a 10 out of 10. If I want to give her an 8 out of 10, I can do that, or probably even a 12 out of 10. I might be able to do that. And then there is a feedback option down here that if I just want to give her generalized feedback, instead of the individualized feedback for each of the different criteria, I can choose to do that. And then submit, and that's how you would use that interactive rubric.